we said that God exists and that God is a law of love and giving. How does God influence us in our everyday lives?
He created us opposite to Him, in the nature of reception. And His nature is bestowal. Our nature is hate. His nature is love. And so He's working on us in order to take us through a very lengthy kind of change. From being His complete opposite, from hating others and also hating Him, to loving others and loving the Creator. This is the entire process that we go through.
Okay, and how does He influence our lives?
Everything that He does is in order for us to change from hating to loving each other, and from loving each other to loving Him. And therefore, we just have to pay attention to everything that happens to us in life, on each and every step and in each and every moment. Everything that happens is in order to make us a bit more like Him.
So God is organizing the events in my life so that I would...
change and become like Him.
Which means what? To be more loving?
More loving, giving, bestowing to and caring for everyone. And then you become like the Creator. You feel yourself in a whole and complete degree, in a state of wholeness and perfection, which is truly an infinite degree, beyond life and death, good and bad, and we have to attain all of this.
Can we prove scientifically that God exists? Many people are asking this question.
No. Man himself becomes the subject for scientific research.
What does that mean?
If I want to prove something, then I have to build a device for it. This is how it is in physics, chemistry, and every science. Every science has its own instruments. Here the device is man himself, that he calibrates himself in such a way that he resembles the Creator, and then accordingly measures how did his qualities change, and how does it influence him, and how does he resemble the Creator, and accordingly what does he feel and attain, and so on.
You actually have a background in science. You're a scientist. So would you say that you scientifically researched God and His discovery?
True. This is how it is. This is also what's customary among Kabbalists. This is why they write books. And each of the Kabbalists understands what the others write, like in science. Only the thing here is that man himself has to change. In physics, a person doesn't have to change. In mathematics, or in any other science. Whereas here, he does, because he examines it on himself.
So then, in order to prove that God exists, I first need to change, and then only when I perceive Him can I research Him?
First change, and then according to your changes, you'll start perceiving Him. And according to your perception, you'll start researching. And accordingly, you'll be able to gather all the information, and from that you'll have a science of your own.
What is the connection between God and the meaning of life? Is there a connection?
Without revealing God, we can't attain the meaning of life. Because the meaning of life means, where are we from? Who has created us? What does He want from us? For what reason? And for what goal? What is this process that we're going through? What do we attain at the end of the way? Who controls us? How can we influence Him? How does He influence us? How should we connect between us in order to influence Him more or less? The wisdom of Kabbalah reveals and teaches all of these things, and any person who's engaged in it attains it all.
So in order to discover this meaning, do I first need to reveal God?
Of course. It's the only way, because He's the source of life. He's the first and also the last in this chain, and also in each and every moment of my advancement, from the beginning of creation until its end. How can I know about the entire process and each of its parts if I don't know the Creator? It's the operating and realizing force. It's the motivating force.
So again, each person that wants to discover the meaning of their life can do it, can discover it?
Everyone has to. It's not even a matter of wanting to or being able to, but everyone has to. And therefore, unless you have revealed him, you'll have to reincarnate and reveal him.
And if I reveal God, will I discover my own personal meaning in life?
Yes, your own personal meaning. And so will the whole of humanity.
If God exists, why do bad things happen in the world? Why is there so much suffering?
Who promised you that things are going to be good? Because God exists. His existence still doesn't mean anything. God controls the entire reality, and the entire reality, the good and the bad, is sustained and developed only by Him, by this global and universal force, in order to lead us to the recognition of evil and the recognition of good. For this, He has to influence us by two forces, the good and the as if bad forces. And since we're feeling beings, then only by these two reins can we advance.
How can we grasp that all this evil is coming from God Himself?
There's none else besides Him. There's only one acting force in the whole of reality.
And He is that good and loving God that...
And also the bad that does all the
So
bad.
you're saying that all of this is happening in order to advance us?
Were He not to influence us in a positive and negative way, or we're in the middle, then we'd have no free choice.
To choose what?
To choose whatever you want, the good or the bad, or beyond good and bad.
Okay.
And so, this is where we are, in a very special and complex system, very non-simple. But it's what actually gives us the freedom of choice, to choose between the good and the bad. And it actually allows us to become like God, knowing good and bad.
So how can evil come from good? How is it possible that evil is coming from a source that is good and loving?
The force acting upon us is good, but because we're in contrast with it, then our oppositeness from God makes us feel bad.
What do you mean by oppositeness?
Oppositeness means that He always bestows good, and we don't really want that good, because what He sees as good is bestowal, love, connection between everyone, and so on. And we don't really want that because of our egoistic nature. And so we feel His providence as something bad.
What exactly don't we want in this goodness? I mean, we want to feel good, we want to be good, we want there to be love.
We want for us to feel good, according to what we think good is, but not according to what God sees as good.
I'm trying to understand what exactly is the difference between what I perceive as good and His good.
His good is that each of us cares for everyone else. And our good is that each of us cares only for himself.
So good means not that I will feel good, but some kind of altruistic good that everyone will feel good.
Yeah, I can't think only about my own good. Because God, He thinks globally about all the created beings together.